Forensic Analysis with
AI
and Kay, and today we are bringing you another true crime story. We will be talking about Stephen Port, also known as the Grindr Killer. Stephen Port was born on the 22nd of February 1975 in Southend on Sea. He later moved to Dagenham in East London with his family as a young child. Stephen Port had various jobs, but he worked as a chef at Stagecoach Depot, it's like a bus station, and which later, I guess, helped him get onto the show MasterChef.
He didn't win.
Rightly so.
Stephen Port was convicted of killing and raping several victims, but one of his first victims was a man named Anthony Wargate, who was a 23-year-old fashion student from Gravesend in Kent. He also occasionally worked as an escort, and it was said that Stephen Port rented his services, and that's how he was able to get him in his home. Offered him £800, and Anthony went to his home in Barking. Stephen eventually raped and drugged Anthony with a drug called GBL, but when it's in your system it's called GHB. On the morning of June the 14th, 2014, Anthony's body was found outside Stephen's home. After Stephen Port left Anthony's body outside his home, he called the ambulance and told them that he saw Anthony staggering drunk.
Emergency ambulance, what's the address of the emergency?
It's Cook Street. There's a young boy, looks like he's trapped outside. I don't know.
Outside of which number?
4758.
Sorry?
4758, I think.
47, Cook Street.
Yeah.
What area?
Barking. It looks like he's collapsed or had a seizure or something. He's just always just drunk. But, yeah.
Okay. What's the telephone number you're calling from?
I'm just pulled up in the car. I've got to get my car on the parking. Oh.
That's alright, don't worry about that. What's the telephone number you're calling from? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, the ambulance service. Well, the car's there. Just confirm the location.
Oh, I'm just driven away now.
Where was it that they were outside of?
Cook Street.
What door number?
I don't know, I didn't look.
You said 47 before.
Yeah, so that's yeah, what's for some? Yeah. So,
Do you think that they had a seizure, is that correct?
It's on the floor. Yeah. Yeah.
So were you passing by in your car?
Yes.
Okay, and you've drove past now, you're no longer there.
That's right.
How old did he look roughly, sir?
20.
20. Do you know if he was awake?
No.
Do you know if he was breathing?
No, I don't know.
Did you see anything happen at all?
No.
No. You just think that he possibly had a seizure, he was lying there on the floor.
Yes.
Thanks for letting us know. We'll get someone there as soon as we can.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, sir. It's the ambulance service. Sorry to bother you again. It was definitely Cook Street that the patient was on.
Yes, definitely. Yes,
Yeah.
I passed in hands. It was Cook Street.
Okay, and were you just kind of driving past and you just kind of saw the patient lying there?
I was just driving at my car park.
Oh, into your car park there?
So, the 994. I
Okay.
got out, and then look at him,
Yeah.
called you, but got back in the car.
Alright, no worries. Just wanted to be sure. We've got someone there anyway. Thank you for your help, sir. Sorry to bother you again.
Okay, no worries.
Right,
Sure.
yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Police at that time didn't see the case as suspicious, and they took Stephen at his word that Anthony was just drunk.
On the 28th of August 2014, Gabriel Kavari's body was found at St Margaret's Churchyard in Barking, East London, which was about 500 metres from Stephen Port's home. Gabriel Kavari had moved from Slovakia to London, basically according to him and his friends, that life in Slovakia was a bit intolerant, I guess, with lifestyles, and it wasn't really a place for him, so he had come to London. There's a BBC Three documentary where his friend is talking about Gabriel and his life, and it was mentioned, like, through research that we had found, that he was supposedly Stephen Port's boyfriend for a short time, and he had lived with him for a brief time also.
Stephen Port's third victim was a man named Daniel Whitmore. He was a 21-year-old chef from Gravesend, Kent. His body was found in a similar way to Gabriel by the same lady walking her dog. She found their bodies in
St Margaret's Churchyard.
Stephen Port faked a suicide note, claiming that Daniel Whitmore killed himself because of the guilt he felt for killing Kavari. The fake suicide note also said, "Please don't blame the guy I was with last night," talking about himself. So he's trying to trick authorities and the police into thinking that he's a victim actually killed himself, rather than the fact that he actually killed him himself.
Stephen Port's fourth victim that we know of was 25-year-old Jack Taylor, who was a forklift driver and supposedly wasn't out as a gay man. He visited, I don't know what kind of place it is, but this place called Trades Hall, where he went out on a Saturday night of the 13th of September and arranged to meet Stephen Port. He met him on an online dating app. It was said that Jack Taylor arranged to get a minicab to Barking and then meet Stephen Port. CCTV footage shows two men walking together around 3 a.m. in Barking, and he went back to Stephen Port's home. It is also said that Jack Taylor had died within hours of meeting Stephen Port, and on the 14th of September his body was found also in St Margaret's Churchyard in the same upright position. In a similar manner that Jack Taylor was found in an upright position against a graveyard wall, was the similar way that the other victims were also found, minus Anthony Wargate, as he was found in a slightly different location, but all was found in similar circumstances, and with maybe an empty bottle of GHB. On November the 23rd, 2016, Stephen Port was convicted of 22 offences against 11 men, which included 10 accounts of administering a poisonous substance, 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of rape, and 4 assaults by penetration. There are other convictions, but this is what I had found online. As I stated earlier, it was against 11 men, so there was more victims than obviously the ones that we've mentioned, but it's not to public knowledge at this moment.
Stephen was convicted for 8 months for perverting the course of justice in the case of Anthony Wargate, one of his alleged first victims. Now, I thought that was strange because why he was convicted of perverting the course of justice is because they knew that he lied about how he found the body. But then if they knew that he lied about how they found the body, then they sort of know that he killed him.
Oh, why did they not look into it?
Yeah, it was an interesting case because, not trying to blame the police, actually, us sort of they didn't look into these cases properly. They just took it for granted that all these gay men, they're taking drugs, and
so
it just must be
looking at them as escorts. Or...
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like their lives are valued.
So a lot of mistakes that could have been prevented or could have been avoided. So I don't work in the police force, and there's a lot of cases probably going on at one time. But I felt like this was one that there's a lot of things that were easily overlooked that shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And I read that I think about 17 officers were disciplined in terms of this whole case.
They didn't lose their jobs, but at least they were disciplined. And you think about the fact that he propped up 3 of the bodies in the graveyard, you think that is a little bit complacent. It's
yeah, I mean...
take them across the road.
and just like dump them like they're just like you're just dumping rubbish.
The fact that the same lady found
2 of the victims.
Yeah.
In terms of this case, there's a Stephen Port's interrogation is on YouTube.
Do you have any involvement in the death of the male that we just spoke about a short while ago, Gabriel Kavari or Gabriel Klein?
No, I didn't.
At all. Were you involved in administering any drugs or poisons or noxious substances to him?
No, I don't administer drugs to anyone or give drugs to anyone. That's done at the party by someone else. The name I recognised, one of the boys you mentioned before, was he's normally at the parties and deals with administrating drugs.
Who's that, sorry?
Daniel. Recognised him. Sometimes he deals, he hands out the drugs to the guests.
Daniel, this is the male that we spoke of earlier.
So, it might not be the same guy, I really don't know, but it's only Daniel I'd know. Oh.
You're talking of someone that you know as Daniel.
I think I was on the first few occasions I was there. It was the first time I first got, and Daniel was there. So I don't even know if it is the same Daniel I was talking about, but it's the only Daniel I can recall as such. I think his name was Whitmore, it rings a bell, but...
You think his name was Whitworth?
Yeah. I mean, if he's tall, almost as tall as me, with brown hair. Sim.
Might help if I show your picture. I'll call this CRT. See, this is Jack Taylor. Do you recognise that mate?
No, I just don't recognise him. I don't pay full attention to the guys' faces when I have paid attention to the parties. But I don't recognise his face.
So you don't recognise his face? Slept with this male?
No.
Had sexual intercourse with him?
He doesn't look like the type I would go with myself.
Obviously, I don't think it's not the whole interrogation, it's only about 11 minutes long. But Stephen Port was, they were asking Stephen Port about these victims, and they're showing pictures. Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? And in terms of Jack Taylor, he said something along the lines of, he's not really my type. I wouldn't really go for something like that. I like more younger guys. And I don't know. You're facing kind of murder charge here, and you're talking about this is not the type of guy I would go for. Like, let's stick to the facts here. Did you meet or not? I don't know if that by then it had a CCTV footage or not, but I think when the CCTV footage was released, they didn't know. In regards to Stephen Port, another killer has been somewhat connected to him, Gerald Matavu, a convicted murderer, was said to supply Stephen Port with the drug
GHB.
Yeah. And Gerald Matavu, I won't go into too much detail. There's some clips on YouTube. He had similar crimes of drugging men, meeting them online. I guess willingly meeting men for sex or whatever, or company or whatever it is, and then he would administer the drug, leave them unconscious, assault them, and steal bank cards, take pictures of documents, and obviously use them for financial gain.
I don't know about you, but it feels like they were in some sort of drug sex ring.
The similarities of the crimes committed, even though maybe for different intentions.
Yeah. So Matavu and his partner were doing it for, like you said, financial gain, but Paul was doing it for sexual gratification.
Yeah. And it's just really
But they're all in it together.
I mean, I don't know if I'll say they're all in it together. I mean, I don't know. They could. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's not like they they were all conspiring together, but they both knew what they were doing.
You know, it's unfortunate these crimes could have been prevented, you know, if the police had looked into it a bit more. So there's just too many. I know we watch and read a lot of crime stories, and you know, some serial killers are really like, they think out the process and what they're going to do, where they're going to, you know, hide the bodies and how they're going to cover up their crimes. But I feel like with Stephen Port, he was taking advantage of the situation, and it's just unfortunate that these young boys had to, or young men I should say, you know, had to die at the hands of Stephen Port. I read online also that, you know, Stephen Port went by the name Joe Dean. He'd also wear like a toupee or like a wig, obviously to make himself more
attractive.
Yeah, you know, it said that he preferred younger men or men in their, well, I read late teens, but you know, obviously they were pushing on the illegal side here, so we're just going to go with what we know so far, but you know, I'm not going to rule that out of the question. On the 23rd, 2016, he was convicted of 22 offences against 11 men, including 10 accounts of administering a poisonous substance, 4 counts of rape, and 4 counts of murder, and 4 accounts of sexual assault by penetration. I don't know in relation to the other 11 men, because obviously we're discussing there was 4 murders. He got convicted of that, 4 rapes, which he got convicted of that, and 10 counts of administering a substance. I guess maybe that's in relation to the other men, so I don't know what other convictions in terms of 11 men. But Stephen Port was given a whole life order and sentenced to life imprisonment. And it's not too often in the UK that you hear the term a whole life order. Like, he's spending his whole natural life in jail. He's currently in HMP Belmarsh at the moment, and he's still basically saying that he's innocent. His mum it's also said that his mum believes that he's innocent, and that he doesn't believe that he could commit these crimes because he's an innocent man.
Stephen Port was known to be a bit of a loner or a recluse when he was younger. We always like to include information like this because it may or may not have bearing on the cases and the crimes that these people commit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was a bit of a loner when I was in school. You know, I ain't killed anybody yet, so.
Yeah, so there was a lot of. They said there was a bed sheet. I think one of the victims might have been wrapped in a bed sheet. They didn't test for DNA. I'm really not sure why the police did not look into Stephen Port when he made the call to the ambulance. Because a lot of times, I assume they would look into that person just to rule you out at least.
Yeah.
And I don't think for certain they could rule him out. It's, you know, too close to home, and I really don't understand how they did not link any of them. By the 3rd murder at least, why did they start linking them? Because if 2 people are found in the same exact place, you can't say to me that's 2 separate murders. There's no way. I can't say no way, but to me it's very, very unlikely that 2 separate murderers are walking around placing someone, unless it was like a copycat crime. But obviously in this case it wasn't that. And I guess there was a lot of evidence against Stephen Port for him to obviously to get that sentence and, you know, be convicted. And, you know, it's just unfortunate that the families had to go through this, you know, not to, I guess, judge the police and what they're doing, because obviously we're not there. But a lot of things could have, you know, been prevented, I think. A lot of DNA.
Yeah. I guess it goes back to how certain victims are perceived. You know, a sex worker or you know, gay men or whatever, like, people were like
certain groups in society.
Yeah, it's not they're you know, the victims aren't taken seriously. I want to ask one question though. How would Grindr feel about this? Because he's called the Grindr Killer. Like, I'd be like, if I was Grindr, I'd be like, yeah, but he used other apps too. Like, why are you blaming us?
But then you got like the Tinder swindler.
But he actually used Tinder. He was like fully on Tinder.
But
so
then
you can't get away from that.
But there's a few crimes that the dating app is used as their.
True.
And there's another guy, I can't remember, it's an American guy, a young guy. I guess on one of the dating apps as well. I think he went on. he used Tagged. It's not a dating app, but he went on Tagged to meet women. So obviously, like, you know, these kind of crimes bring awareness to like meeting people online and, you know, being more careful. And it's not, I don't think it's always something that you can prevent. Like, you can talk to someone probably for months online and it seems okay.
Yeah.
So you obviously can always be cautious, but, you know, there's always so much you can do because obviously everyone can hide who they are online. You know, so if you are meeting anyone online, make sure you tell someone where you're going or
Definitely.
who you're meeting. You know, try and get as much information. And
get someone to follow you.
or, you know, give your location or something. I think it was with it might have been with Daniel Whitmore, I'm not sure if it was Daniel or Anthony. One of them had texted their friends and said, "Oh, I'm meeting, you know, this and this guy." I don't know if they used the name Stephen Paul because I think he used the name Joe Dean, and said, "Oh, I'm meeting this person just in case I get killed." You know.
Wow.
And I don't think that's an uncommon thing for people to say. Like, you might be saying it in a jokey way, but, you know, when things like this happen, you start to put things into perspective. You know, hopefully the police take these things more seriously because, you know, just because it's not a group that you're a part of, you know, it still affects a lot of people because, you know, a lot of people in that area are probably terrified.
Exactly. Maybe the apps should have some sort of, like, we know our phones can track, use our location. If you've agreed to meet someone, that location aspect of your phone is turned on. No one else can access it, but that information is available if need be. That was our opinion, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for listening.
Stay tuned. I will be back with another video.